Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We will give it a few more minutes for folks to join. While we wait, if you can let us know where you all are logging in from, your city, your state, and what your role is. Give it about one more minute. And thank you for our panelists for joining us. We will start shortly. Give it one more minute and we will jump right in. We are so excited for you all to join us today and hear how we've been working with the city of Milpitas to administer some of their programs, strategies and tools to increase government operational efficiency across verticals, not just one team, not just two, but multiple. So we're excited to jump into this conversation today. We'll actually just go ahead and get started. We are recording this, so you can always share this back with your teams once this webinar is over, and share it with your networks if you find it valuable and that other folks that are in your network will find it valuable to learn about what we're talking about today. But nice to meet everyone. My name is Melissa Freeney Young, and I am the Director of Impact here at Forward. I am the former Chief of Staff to the Mayor of Compton, served in that role for 7 years. I've also spent some time with the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles, HACLA. And I've also worked on the private side, administering funds to nonprofits that were serving community. And I mention that because I know firsthand that government leaders and administrators have to overcome so many challenges to get resources to their community. It's hard enough to try to administer one program, and I've been there. The funds come through the door. How do we get the funds out? We have a team, a very scrappy team of 2 or 3 people, and we have millions of dollars, and there's a high need. But then how do you get out multiple programs? Oftentimes, the city's not just running one program. A city may be running 7 or 8 across several different departments, including business or resources for families or housing. And the reality is that there's never enough resources. No matter what, no matter how strong sometimes the government team may be, the city or the county that you're working for, there is always a higher need than there are the capacity and the resources to get those funds out of the door. Oftentimes you're faced with really old processes, no way to track data. And it's like, what do we do? It's like, we have to find a new way to get money out to folks. We have to find a new way to drive these programs because people are in high need. And so today, that is really the core of our discussion. And we'll join folks from Milpitas, our partners over there, to talk about how we have helped them to run programs across multiple departments, from housing assistance to small business, and then how we used our platform and our solution to increase the participation rates of their programs, to increase how efficient the resources got out to those communities, and just how we just increased overall outcomes. And so excited to jump into that conversation today. And so want our panelists to introduce themselves. First, there's Alex Andrade. He is the Director of Economic Development for the City of Milpitas. And I'll give it to him to just do a high-level introduction.
Thank you, Melissa. Good morning, everyone. Alex Andrade, Director of Economic Development and Strategic Initiatives with the City of Milpitas. I've been with the city for going on 6 years. I've had a public sector career of close to 25 years, where I've worked both at redevelopment agencies across the state of California with the City of San Jose, Los Angeles, and San Francisco in project management. I've worked for various cities in the Bay Area, and even also worked for the Silicon Valley Community Foundation as a program officer, where we were funding community-based organizations on all things related to designing and building great inclusive communities. So I'm excited to be here with you all, and look forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. Next, who's also with the City of Milpitas, is Robert Muzalam. He is the housing official. If you could give us a brief introduction, Robert.
Absolutely. Thank you to the Forward team for having us today. My name is Robert Muslim. I'm the housing official for the City of Milpitas. Much like Alex, I've been around the game a little bit for close to 20 years now. Started at a family homeless shelter in grad school and graduated to the San Francisco Housing Authority, doing a variety of roles there and working on the government side. Did some private real estate, and now with the City of Milpitas for about 6 years. I think I'm one step ahead of Alex just a little bit. And yeah, we've been working collaboratively together for the past 6 years on a variety of programs. So glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert. And thank you both for your service to community. It's always a thankless job, but thank you for that. And the last person is Tamina Martelli. She is my teammate over at Forward. She is the Director of Client Services. Tamina, if you could let us know your background, a wealth of
Yes.
knowledge and information.
Thanks, Melissa. My name is Tafina Martelli, Director of Client Services at Forward, as Melissa mentioned. And prior to coming and joining Forward, I have had over 20 years of experience working in a variety of government, like state government, county, city, as well as nonprofit development and working in nonprofits as well. So I've been on both sides of the spectrum of not only in community development and being part of the community with CBOs or community-based organization, but also kind of the work that goes into state or county or city level government.
Mhm.
And ironically, resources are strapped, not ironically, both government and nonprofits. You're trying to make things work with small resources. And one of the fun things about working at Forward has been to kind of be on the other end to see how we can make the pain a little bit less painful. All of the
Mhm.
resources I wish I had when I worked in government or in nonprofit, where I'm able to be part of providing. And that's been the really exciting part, my journey here at Forward.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Tamina. More than 80% of our team at Forward come from government and nonprofits. I don't know if we're here because we know how difficult it is and we want to be on the other side, on the private side, to figure out how to make our friends' jobs better. But we're really passionate about the work that we do. And we're just excited to share a bit more. We can go over to the next slide. So I'll share just a bit about Forward or a bit about what we're going to get into today. Sorry about that, Tina. But we'll go over Forward very high level. We'll also jump into the Milpitas case study and panel conversation with our folks from that team. And then I'll actually show a live demo of what our multi-program administration solution looks like. I will tell you in advance that this sounds unbelievable. When I first came over to Forward, I was like, there's no way that they're doing this for cities. There's absolutely no way, because I didn't see it when I was there working in the city. But I'll show you a demo of what the platform looks like, how easy it is for both your applicants, your constituents, and your staff that are running those programs. And then we'll just have Q&A. If you have any questions, would love to answer those. And then also we'll share a way that we can connect with you to learn about your challenges in your city and how we can use our platform to solve that. Next slide, please. So Forward actually started off as a data company. We were helping cities make data-informed decisions by visualizing their data across their programs, across their cities, across their counties. And we all know how important data is. But when the pandemic hit, data was important, but cities now had millions of dollars. They had so much need. People couldn't pay their rent. People couldn't pay their utilities. People were becoming unhoused. And so you had cities who had maybe never had 10 million, 15, $20 million that they needed to get out of the door in a few months. And now all of these cities had that same challenge. And so our partners came to us and said, hey, you guys do data. Hey, we know that you do technology, you do it really well. Is there any way that you can help us get these funds out of the door? So we really took all the features that we used in our previous iteration of our company and created a solution to help administer programs. We expanded our platform to get those benefits out of the door very quickly into the hands and the small businesses that need it most. And so far, we've done $1 billion. We've helped cities, counties, states administer over $1 billion from the city of Milpitas in California all the way to the state of New York. And we've supported or helped over 300,000 families and small businesses to date. We are currently administering programs in several states across the country that include small business, that include helping families, include helping senior citizens pay their taxes. And so we're going to take a deeper look in how we actually do that. When we talk about end-to-end public administration, when we talk about multi-program administration, what does that really mean? I think a lot of folks on this call kind of already know what it means to run a program, but we want to show you a bit how we do it on the Forward side and how we actually support your teams to get these programs off the ground and resources out of the door. So I'll hand it over to Tamina to walk us through that.
Thanks, Melissa. So, as she mentioned, at Forward, we really provide kind of managed solutions for program administration, and it's really designed to increase backend capacity. As you know, that we both mentioned, all of us mentioned that oftentimes we have limited resources in government as well as in nonprofit arena. And so, not only to increase that backend capacity, but to really foster interagency as well as interdepartmental collaboration, optimize resource allocation, and really improve the applicant experience across a wide variety of programs. That's really near and dear to our hearts. And these type of programs can include anything from rental assistance to housing services and small business loans to weatherization rebates and cash assistance. We really oversee every facet of program administration. From the initial design, we come alongside as a thought partner, along with the cities and municipalities and the clients we're serving. And then we work with the collection of applications to eligibility determination, payment processing, live dashboards, and compliance reporting, the full gamut.
Thank you so much for that. Did you guys hear that? Live reporting, dashboards, helping with audits. I know audit was just a thorn in the side of every city employee when I was with the city of Compton. But our team, once we run a program with that team, will actually come in and help audits if that support is required. So before we jump into conversation with Milpitas, let's just talk about kind of the challenges of program administration. I think all of us know this very well. We talked about limited resources in administrative capacity. I know I've been on teams before where somebody is with us for 3 months, 5 months, 8 months, and then they're out of the door. In the middle of running a program, they've helped create it, they've helped launch it, and then they're on to a new job, and that can sometimes be so challenging. There's also just really complex application processes. When you talk about CDBG or you talk about HUD or any type of program for small businesses, those applications are always super long. They're complex. Teams sometimes don't have the capacity to create forms, to be able to upload documents. We're using spreadsheets, we're using Google Forms, and trying to find a way to combine them all in one. Our platform helps to solve that challenge. Also just outdated systems. We have when we start at a city or a county and you get there and you're like, this seems a bit old, the technology that they're using. And sometimes it's really, really difficult to change existing systems, outdated systems, and systems that don't talk to each other. And so our system can come in and help support that. That data fragmentation and tracking, most people in the departments, you have your data for your department, if you have that. But when you get to those council meetings and people want to know what's happening across departments, how are all the activities coming together to move towards a common goal or objective, it's very difficult to do that across departments. And then also partnering with stakeholders and nonprofits and organizations. It's really difficult to manage folks on the outside. You already have your job, you have to run your program, but a part of that job is to manage the 5 or 6 CBOs that are required to run that program. Our team comes in and supports that too. And lastly, we talked about this reporting, regulatory compliance. We help with that. I did forget to mention fraud prevention. When you have money, when you have resources, those resources are precious. And unfortunately, there are groups of people that are always trying to commit fraud and apply for public programs and assistance that they don't qualify for, that they don't need. Every time money gets into the hands of a person who does not need it, it takes it out of the hand of a family or a small business that does. And so our technology, our team really uses what we have to prevent fraud and have done that in an amazing way over the years. And then also with the data, help to manage the budget and help to make sure that resources are allocated efficiently and equitably. We use mapping to see where funds are going, where applications are coming in, where applications are not coming in. We've used data in the past to identify a low-income community that was not applying for a program. They were the people who were identified to be the highest need. And so we had to go out there, do some in-person applications to make sure that they had access to the benefits that they qualify for. So these challenges just really highlight the need for a holistic solution. I mean, if we can go through all 8 of these, it's like there might be a solution for each one of them, but then that still creates a siloed scenario, siloed situation that does not speak to each other. Forward is really a holistic solution that will enhance the capacity of your team, that will simplify the process, improve transparency, and like put it under one big giant umbrella. And so that's what we call our multi-program administration solution. And it's really created to help teams pull all these things under one umbrella, manage them seamlessly, and as Tamina mentioned, provide our back-end support to get it planned, off the ground, and resources out of the door. And so with that, I'll pass it back to Tamina to jump into our Milpitas case study. We spent a lot of time in Milpitas, and so let's hear what we've done there.
Yeah, so let's take a closer look at the kind of the real world impact of these solutions in the city of Milpitas, California. So we have had kind of a long-standing relationship. It started actually during COVID era with the small business grant program. So 1.57 million in ARPA funded money to go out quick. It had to happen quickly for the small business grant program. And then again, looking at again, 900K of ARPA funding for rent and mortgage relief program. And this was actually two programs that were running concurrently for rental assistance as well as mortgage assistance. And then this is something we will talk about a little bit later too, how we had to kind of iterate and change with how the greatest need was in the community. And then a 50K for CDBG funded micro enterprise assistance program. And this was wonderful because these are programs that are often, or organizations often overlooked. They're businesses that are small, between 1 to 5 employees, that are often overlooked in cities. And so the city of Milpitas was really great and proactive in addressing that need. And then 800K in PLHA funded workforce housing rental assistance program to really stabilize the workforce in Milpitas. And so it's been a delight to really kind of journey along with the city of Milpitas in these variety of diverse programs. And looking at kind of really the return on investment for Milpitas. So if we want to take a greater look at this, first of all, Milpitas has saved 50%, and Robert can speak to this, 50% of time spent on administrative tasks. By streamlining processes like application intake and eligibility review and reporting, the city was able to reduce the time that staff spent needed to manage programs. And then this has not only allowed them to handle more applications, but also reduce the risk of burnout among the teams, juggling multiple programs. And then secondly, 80% of residents reported an improved experience accessing programs. So the user-friendly portal and platform were able to provide the simplified application process. It really makes it easier for residents to apply for assistance because we're looking at residents that could have greater, like whether it's age or digital literacy, you want to be able to address all of those needs. And so that really provides that kind of stands in that gap so that a variety of people can access things more easily. This significantly boosted participation rates and improved the resident satisfaction. And then perhaps most importantly, which is what we're really proud of, and I think it's great for the city as well, is there was a 99% reduction in fraud. And so our secure platform, not only the technology, but the human-centered approach we take to actually look at physically the applications, we were able to vet the applications for efficiently and accurately, significantly reducing fraudulent claims and really protecting valuable resources so that the resources get to the people who really need them. These results really show how Forward solution not only enhances efficiency for administrators, but also dramatically improves overall experience for all the residents as well, and really maintains program integrity. So I'll pass it on to Melissa so that we can kind of start our panel discussion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for letting us set the stage. But now it's time for discussion and time to hear from the people who work in Milpitas, who we work with as partners. And so first we'll start off with Alex. You are the Director of Economic Development, and you've seen various programs be administered with Forward, both residents and small business. Can you just share some key challenges that the city faced in administering multiple programs, and like why even bring on an administrator to support with program administration? And let's make this conversation, you guys. So Tamina, Robert, if you have something to add as Alex shares, please feel free to jump in.
Sounds good. Thank you, Melissa. Your slide on challenges in program administration, I think you had 8 different examples there. I feel like each one of those was a part of our process, but certainly we had some challenges, but I'm really happy to say that we were really good together in problem solving. But there's three challenges that I'll speak to specifically. One that you talked about earlier about, scrappy small teams. Well, usually Office of Economic Development teams are just that. We're small, we're nimble, we can pivot. Notwithstanding, though, during the pandemic, the Office of Economic Development really had limited capacity to disperse the $1.57 million in the small business grants. And although Robert and I, meaning Economic Development and Housing, had partnered on a previously funded CDBG $200,000 grant program in 2020, we were still really trying to overcome certain challenges and issues other than just limited capacity. So one other issue, which Melissa also mentioned, was time. The city of Milpitas received $17.6 million of ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act dollars from the federal government through the Department of Treasury. And although those dollars were sent to the city, the federal government had yet to finalize their final ruling, which had to do with reporting and compliance. And so we weren't really sure how to move forward because the federal government hadn't completed their final ruling. But we knew for a fact the dollars needed to go out to our businesses, to our residents, to our nonprofits, and the like quickly. So we decided, we partnered with another organization as a consultant, AG Witt, and we decided to just go forward, disperse these dollars quickly, but be more conservative. So we went ahead and we went beyond what we thought the federal government would require in performance metrics, auditing, reporting, and so we were able to move forward. So the great thing is we were looking for an efficient and effective partner, and of course we found that through our partnership with Forward. I think another challenge too had to do with, well, I think I just mentioned it, had to do with getting these dollars and addressing the dollars out. I want to just end quickly here as it relates to a testimonial that we received from one of our businesses that I thought was just very thought-provoking and important. He received a grant to allow his business to stay afloat. He told us that receiving that grant was like receiving water when he was walking through the desert. The message he was sending to us was incredibly impactful because it was a lifeline to his business. And we were able to get these dollars out quickly, swiftly. We were learning in a partnership opportunity, but we did it, and we did it well. I'll end there.
I love that so much. It was like water, and I know, taking it back to when I was at the city, again, you have this high need. People need the resource, but sometimes you feel so strapped, you feel so confined, you feel so within the red tape that you can't even find a way to get it out of the door. And so with our experience having done this across the country, a lot of times we're able to come in with our partners and bring best practices, even bring language on how to speak to their administrators, to their city managers, to their elected officials, so that they can really understand the return on investment when partnering with Forward, but then that human aspect of it around getting the money out quicker. And it's like, we can fight, we can battle, but the reality is people are in need. They need water, and Forward has really been able to come in and do that with folks. Robert, I'll pass it over to you. Can you share a few challenges that the city has faced with housing programs? Those are the funnest programs in administration, good old housing.
Yeah, I think, for me, it was really just the bandwidth of my team. I think when the pandemic hit, it was myself and one other team member running the entire housing division. And then over time, thankfully, we've been able to expand. But as we've expanded, and as more funds have become available, the ability for your staff to grow is a great thing. But the capacity to do so many different programs with all the different funding sources it's a really tall task to ask of your team. And so being able to just kind of eliminate that administrative burden, hand it off to Forward, and create sort of a relationship where your team is now working collaboratively with another team to help assess clients, do all the client communication, and again, just eliminate that administrative burden. I think that was the biggest challenge that we had, and the biggest solution that Forward was really able to provide us really quickly. And so, yeah, I think, I took a lot of time thinking about the biggest challenges, and of course, funding is always a challenge, but we've been pretty fortunate with funding over the last few years, right? Whether from the state or the federal government. So now it's okay, how do you get those dollars out, and how do you ensure that the customer service and the resident experience is at a high level? Because if you had your team doing it, you know that it would be done, but truthfully, if you're really being honest with yourself, the capacity to do it well and consistently over time is probably not going to be there. And so, thankfully, yeah, at the time, Alex mentioned Forward. We had we were working with a local agency to do some of our program work, but that wasn't their core focus. And it's not that they did a poor job by any stretch of the imagination. It's that it wasn't their bread and butter, if you will. And that's what, when we started talking to Forward, it just felt really natural that this is what they do. They do it across the board. They do it locally. They do it nationally. And so it really eliminated that burden on our team and made it really easy for us to feel comfortable suggesting new programs to our leadership team, right? We can do this, no problem, right? It's a much simpler conversation for us. So that's the challenge that we faced kind of initially. And I think that's really the solution that you all offered us.
I love that. And you mentioned such a great point, is like, how are we released from the administration to bring in more resources and more programs? I've been there where it's like all these grants are out there. We could apply for them. We could bring them in. But when we bring them in, who's going to run them? Right. And it's like, you will work with people who will, hey, we don't have the capacity to run them, so let's not go after them, even if there's a high need for our residents, for our small businesses. And so just so grateful to hear that our team was able to kind of release some of that work, some of that administration, so the team could actually do what they're hired to do. I don't think a lot of folks, we come in with this heart to serve, and we're hit with all these barriers and obstacles. And so to have Forward as that back end support to really be able to go after what the community needs is super powerful. And so, Tamina, can you walk us through like how our solution kind of has helped the city of Milpitas run multiple programs, from housing to small business support, and then kind of what are the key benefits in terms of back-end capacity that we were able to provide?
Well, I mean, right now, having worked on several programs, up to 5, we feel like we're a team. I mean, really our team has gotten to know the entire, like the Milpitas team, and we work really well together. And more than the technology part, I think that partnering closely, the human aspect of what we do, I think is really powerful. Earning each other's trust. I think that's really key to how to collaborate to serve the community with equity. And part of that is really making decisions based on data. And so some of the things we've been able to help with, I know that we worked on this, Robert, like with the rent and mortgage program that we were talking about earlier. One of the things we were noticing trends is that the rental program was going really well compared to the mortgage program. And so we were able to provide that data so that Robert and his team were able to take it to the city council to show like this program seems to be working a lot more, it resonating with the community. That's where the need is. Here's the data. And they were able to vote to kind of transfer funds from that mortgage end to the rental end so that we could serve even more people. And so that was really wonderful to be able to provide kind of that live, relatable data in a way that could be shared with the city council so they could make meaningful decisions and vote on things that really the community needed. And then to really ensure that the city is audit ready at any time, like whether it's programmatic audit and whether it's any kind of response, we have all of the data to be able to back that up. And again, I think part of that, and Robert, you can chime in, I feel like that rental program, being able to kind of move that money from mortgage to rental, we are now seeing an additional $700K that's kind of being directed towards rental program because we were able to show that, hey, this is something that the community really needs. And it's a different set of funding, not ARPA, that the city council is deciding on. And then also really having a team who's able to do all of that review and the QA/QC for fraud checks. Those kind of phone calls, I mean, I don't know, like when I worked for the city, there's no way we could have we have the expertise to kind of figure out if is this document fake? Like, how can you tell if it was doctored? Or when you're having all these conversations or check for additional documents to be sent in, it takes so much time and bandwidth. And that's something we're able to provide, so that, again, when we're directly reaching out to the applicants, whether it's a small business, whether it's an actual renter or a housing person, to kind of really ask for additional documents, that takes away that time that the team needs to like be making phone calls. And so I think those are, to be able to really work together and design things together, like the new and upcoming programs, to kind of really go, hey, this is what we learned from some of the other ones. I think, how about trying it this way? Or this is what we've learned in other municipalities. Can we work together on this? And so those have been really enriching.
I love that. What I hear is like we help to build confidence in a team's ability to administer programs. And when leadership and even when people who are running those teams have confidence in their team's ability to get money out the door, it opens up more opportunity for more money to come in to be able to push more money out. And that confidence is sometimes hard to come by, especially when cities have always struggled with administering programs. Like, let's keep building it. And I think we've seen that across multiple partners in being able to administer multiple programs on their behalf. Alex and Robert, another question for you all. We know collaboration between departments is crucial. I mean, we can obviously work in our separate departments and do our own thing, but it's really important that departments can talk to each other, that they can collaborate. And so how can you say, or how has Forward improved collaboration between your city departments, and how has that impacted the city's ability to allocate more resources?
Thanks, Melissa. Robert, you want to go first? If not, I can go in.
Go for it, Alex.
All right. Thanks, Robert. That actually is an example of the partnership that we have. We work incredibly well together. I don't know who to give this phrase to, but I've always found it really interesting. Creativity loves chaos, and there has been no more chaotic time in our lifetimes than COVID. We're only a couple of years removed, but it feels like it's been a really, really long time. Anyways, I bring that up because during that time of creativity, solution-oriented, during COVID, partnerships, like always, are incredibly vital. And I mentioned this earlier about the partnership that Robert and I have had for many years between economic development and housing. And we both talked about how really in 2020 in October, there was a $200,000 CDBG funded microenterprise grant program that was going out. We did partner with someone else and we got it done. But as we were learning, we noticed that they were learning as well. And that made it challenging when we needed to get those dollars out quickly. But in the midst of all of that, the great thing is that we were able to break down silos at the city. So economic development and housing were working much better together, more so than the time I had had in my public sector career. But also the same thing, because we were talking about dollars, public dollars going out to the community. We were working hand in hand with our finance department, our city manager's office, our city attorney's office, as well as, of course, our decision-making body, which is the city council. And then the benefactors are the community members. So I feel like we had a problem statement. We worked together. We all had one goal, which is to get these dollars out to the community. And we did that. And I think we did it really well. And a good part of that has to do with our partnership with Forward. I'll stop there and let Robert chime in.
Yeah, no, totally agree with everything you're saying, Alex. I think I want to point back in terms of like collaboration. So we started with the rent relief program, and the data that we were able to collect from Forward and through the reporting allowed us to then kind of think about what's the next iteration of kind of rental assistance that we want to provide. And we have this workforce housing rental assistance program, and that is a more consistent delivery of rental assistance over time, right? Because we recognize from the reporting and the data that we were collecting that, hey, we have folks that are returning consistently for support, right? So, hey, maybe we should establish a program that does that exact thing, right? And so again, partnering with Alex and his team, we added this workforce housing economic development component to it. And so, how has Forward helped us collaborate? Well, I'll give you a great follow-up to this. We put together this plan that, this program that we thought, oh, slam dunk, it's going to be a hit, and the community is going to receive it really well. And it worked really well from a marketing standpoint. We got a lot of press, we got a lot of activity, and we thought we were going to help, what was it, 50 households with the funding that we had allocated. Well, come to find out, as we launched the program and we were getting the feedback from the Forward team, we couldn't qualify a lot of the applicants that were coming through because of the state requirements were too strict, and things that we couldn't foresee, right? And so now, with the help of the Forward team, Alex and my team are, kind of putting our heads back together, trying to figure out how do we move forward and adjust the program slightly so that we can relaunch this program and help another subset of the population, right? So I just think that if it wouldn't have been as easy if we didn't have like the Forward team behind us, providing us the data, and again, handling all of those things behind the scenes for us on the front end to make those decisions and make, the pivot basically that we have to do now, to ensure that those funds go out and that the folks that we're trying to help are receiving the benefits that we're trying to help them with. So, beyond the things that I mentioned earlier, obviously, Forward has helped us with distribution of labor and those types of things, and kind of eliminated, like, is your team doing this? Is my team doing it? Like, I don't want my team to do it. Your team can handle it. We don't have to have those kind of like conversations. So they certainly help with that. But, it's a real world example that kind of timeline of program development and feedback from them has really been like that true partnership, right, over time, that's helping us like move forward with how we want to deliver our services to the community. So it's been really helpful for us.
I love that. I think that's, to me, I don't know if that's one of the best parts of your job, like, especially having a partner that's open to the feedback. Hey, we've done the research. Here's the data. Here's our recommendation on how you can adjust your program to be more impactful. But to have partners that are open to that is really powerful. And that really speaks to how we're able to empower our partners to make data informed decisions and data driven decisions. I think a part of that, we do our research and we'll inform, but Tina will share the WARP dashboard. And so, Alex, curious to know, how has real time and just actionable data, Robert, you kind of spoke about it already, help cities like Milpitas make more data informed decisions? I think you all have shared a few examples, but if there are any other ones that you want to talk about that have been helpful and to really make more direct impact on the community.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. I think Robert did an excellent job speaking to the kind of the data-driven decision making. I look at data as a gift. And most recently, I'm currently a fellow at the Stanford Impact Labs through what is known as the fellowship that focuses on evidence for policy for government, for local government representatives. And Milpitas is in Silicon Valley, and we're right there in the middle of technology. And I had always wished we would use more data to drive our decisions and have evidence. And I feel like we're going through that process. One thing that I've learned with the Stanford Impact Labs is that there's 4 phases to data as evidence. And the first part is asking your question. The second part, focusing on design, what's your approach? The third phase has to do with doing, which then moves into the fourth phase, which is actually acting on that data and that evidence. And the information that we have on the screen right now came from our application process. And a good part of that design approach that I just mentioned, we went back and forth talking about the pros and cons of specific questions, specific data, what do we need and what do we want? Robert mentioned the WRAP program, which is known as the Workforce Housing Rental Assistance Program. And as he said, 50 households would receive funding, rental assistance of $645 per month for 2 years. And so this very important demographic information that we have in front of us allows us to get a better understanding of who these individuals are, what are their needs. One thing that we're trying to achieve through a grant that we have through the Stanford Impact Labs for this is to better determine, now that funding is going out for rental, hopefully stability, what are the other social safety net needs? So we're we're doing our own, city staff is doing our own survey of the first phase of the households. And we're learning that we probably would serve our community well if we created pathways to things such as childcare, education, transportation, upskilling, and workforce development, those things that are really important for quality of life. So data, as you see on the screen, is incredibly important for us and allows us to just really make decision making much better. And I know that our city council, as well as our city manager's office, very much appreciates having this kind of background as we get to our decision makers and our community.
I love that. And Tina just moved to the demographic version. There's across the top of this dashboard, there are several different views from key metrics about applications, demographics, household, and then also mapping. And so when you're working in a city, so council folks may want to see what's happening specifically in their council district. This can be done by zip codes or by census tracts. And you're able to see where the majority of your applications are coming from, where are people being approved, where people may need more help. And so we love our dashboards, we love our data, but I'll say this as well, we love to make city managers and elected officials happy. And so data dashboards and all that always help us do our job better. It helps us to tell the story. And so grateful that we're able to help visualize this all and make you all's job just more data informed. And so the last question to the group, this information is amazing, but the reality is scaling and replicating to other jurisdictions is key. If we could, we don't want to keep this secret to ourselves, and which is why, honestly, I'm here at Forward as well. It's like, how can we share with different teams just across the country, just the power to make their jobs easier, but more importantly, to get resources out to folks faster, more equitably, and data informed. And so just opening it up to everyone on the call, what advice would you give other government leaders who are looking to implement similar multi-program solutions? And what lessons from Milpitas could you apply when kind of going into this journey of partnering with a company like Forward?
Well, I'm going to jump in, even though, I'm going to speak from this end, and then Robert and Alex can jump in. One of the things we've noticed, not only in Milpitas, but in other jurisdictions as well, is when there's multi-program kind of solution available, you see a rise in one program because if they're running concurrently, you're able to serve more people. And I'll give you an example for a couple of the Milpitas programs. So as you know, we just talked about the RAP program, which the dashboard was up. When that program was live or, running, we also had the rent and mortgage program or rental assistance program. And the eligibility for them were slightly different. And so what was interesting is we could see those who did not fit the eligibility criteria for the RAP program, often we could actually refer them to the other program, the rent program that they could qualify for. So that really increased the availability for the residents to know, okay, well, I didn't qualify for this, but this is available. And so that, even though they were not exactly the same, they were able to get resources. And that increase, and we could also track with metrics, like at the launch of this program, application rate for the other program increased just because people were more aware and they were able to access more than one thing. So those have been really exciting to see and track across municipalities, not just Milpitas, to be able to see kind of how data and the scalability of that is so helpful for the residents to be able to access more things without barriers, to really and to have more equity, where one thing would fit one group, another would fit them as well, and then again, less burden for the team to administer in the city level.
I could chime in terms of any advice that I would give. If you're seeking a partner to disperse funds to your respective communities, of course, working with Forward, you've been hearing us say, is just makes things a lot easier. I envision the Staples red button that says easy on it. Just hit that and somehow things get done easily. So for us, obviously, it's just been a great partnership. But I would say also, if you're seeking solutions that have like true meaning and impact to your community, you should look for very simple solutions that could be implemented effectively, efficiently. So you need a partner that can get you there. I think one example that we haven't touched on yet as it relates to the microenterprise grant program, $1.57 million that went out to over 350 of our businesses. At one point, we noticed that the application numbers weren't meeting what we had envisioned. And so we quickly pivoted, and in partnership with Forward, as well as our local Chamber of Commerce, we hosted a technical assistance session where we were all set up with our respective laptops and ready to move applicants step by step with their application process. And so that increased the number of actual applicants and then actual businesses that were funded. But again, just the advice to you all is to have a trusted partner that's going to get you to your goal and that promised land of getting these dollars out to needy families and businesses. I'll hand it to Robert.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think the angle that I'd come at it is, everybody has their own unique challenges. And the thing that I appreciate about working with the Forward team is that they never really said, this is our tool and you're going to use it. It's what do you need? And what can we modify for you? What can we build for you? It's built to suit, right? It's really customizable to us. Because every community is different and every need is different. And so from that standpoint, my advice to anybody, who's considering it is just like, give them an opportunity to hear what crazy thought or idea you have. And I could probably bet good money that they'd be able to do it. So yeah, I just always appreciated that ability to come to the table and say, what do you need? And they just sit back and listen. So that's what's been really helpful for us.
Thank you so much, Robert, for that. And that's a great segue into our demo. So as Robert mentioned, as Tamina, as Alex mentioned, we are not a tech company. We are not a tech platform. We use tech. We use a platform. We use technology in combination with folks like Tamina and her entire operations team to help bring a program to life, to help administer it, to help get the dollars out the door, and to help report on it. So we're not selling a platform. But what we really want to do is to go into partnership and to help create strategies and bring strategies to life. So I will actually jump into a demo, a very brief demo. We don't have a lot of time, but want to show you all kind of what it would look like to run multiple programs. This is a pure demo environment, so this is not real, but this is what it would look like from a constituent's perspective. So they would log into the platform through your own website, through the city's website. And so they would see all programs that your city will be offering. We'll use Milpitas as an example here. So ARPA funded programs, you can have a state program linked in here. If there's a basic income program that's available at the time, any programs that are currently available, they can be within this one benefit navigator. And so instead of having to go to 10 or 15 different sites to see what programs are available within your city, they can go to this one location. This platform is mobile friendly. It can be, it's available in 68 different languages, so you never have to worry about accessibility. And it will house internal and external programs. So for example, you can just have Medicaid linked here. You can press apply and it'll take your resident where they can actually start the application and see if they qualify for Medi-Cal. The second one would be like a common application. So our platform also has the capability to create one application where your residents can apply to multiple programs if they're being administered from your team. Wanted to show you all just kind of what a Forward application looks like. Very simple, very customizable, very intuitive. So capture client information. We have an area here where you can easily upload any type of document. You can have demographic information. You can have e-signatures that are done here. Any type of information that's required for an application, this is the view as a constituent and kind of what they would see. What's really powerful about this platform as well is you can actually go in and see all the applications you've applied for. So if you've applied for 4 or 5 different programs and these are Forward ran, you can actually see the status of, okay, it's review is needed. It's currently in case new, so it hasn't been seen yet. But imagine as a resident, you've applied for all these programs. You can go into one location and you can see what the current status of them are. And back to programs again, as more programs come on board, a team can easily add or customize this. And lastly, the Forward team is always available to help constituents through their application. A key part of our ethos is accessibility and it's equity. And if people have a hard time walking through the application, they can jump on a call to help walk through this program. Again, we've gone to do in-person application programs where folks are not applying online. Maybe there is a gap there. And so our team will actually go out to the community and host an in-person application event. And so this is the view from the applicant side. And so going to really quickly show you what it looks like as an administrator. So when you get into the dashboard, and again, this is just a demonstration. As an administrator, if you're an administrator of 5 or 6 different programs, you can actually see all of your programs in this one dashboard. And so rental program, guaranteed basic income, the dashboard actually shows all the applicants that are within the system that have applied. So that first view, they've applied and they've completed their application. Once that application is complete, it pops into here as a new file. And so our team, this is actually the view from even our team, our operations team that works with our partners like Milpitas. We work from this platform to be able to communicate with constituents, to be able to see case new. Maybe I want to see all the new cases so that I can see them first. And so across the top of this dashboard, you can really filter your application so that you can see kind of what's most important to that person. Another key point about our platform is that it is role-based. And so some programs may have 10 people working on them. Some may have 3 or 4. Some may be reviewers. Some may be QA, QC. Some may be intake specialists. Depending on your role, we will make sure that that role only allows those folks to see the information that they need to see to protect an applicant's PII, their personal identifiable information. And so we can restrict access to certain data. We can anonymize certain access to information. And so I will clear all these statuses to show you a really special part about our platform. And we will be available for any demos. Again, this is a very quick one, but would love to jump in and show you all how this works. And so our platform is also client-based. So in this example, there's John Doe. All of John Doe's information is within this one client profile. So you'll have all their information based on what they completed from their external application. It also gives you the ability to do personal intake. So if there's not an external application, you can actually do intake. If people are coming into the office, or if you're doing a event that's out in the field, and you want to do intake applications, intake specialists can actually enter information here on behalf of John Doe. At the top here, you can change status depending on after this application has been reviewed. This status is based on the workflow for that program. We have scenarios where we work in partnership with the city where we do one half of the application, we intake it, we review it, but then the final approval, the city does. And so once our team does that, we'll launch it over for them to approve. But I'll show you all our secret sauce. Our secret sauce is our communication center. So we're still within John Doe's profile. And you can actually do all forms of communication from the Forward platform. So all of the calls that are going out to John Doe.
It looks like it's still on the navigation hub.
Oh, okay. 1 second. Oh, have I been talking through that the whole time? Oh, no. No good.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I've been moving through this demo. Okay. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let me rewind just really, really quick. So this is this is the platform. This is our dashboard. So every single program, if you're running multiple programs, you can just select from the top and it will upload all of the applicants that are within this specific program. You can take this data and filter it based on any status of that application. And so really quick, I'll jump into one of the applicants. And as I mentioned, our Forward team uses this to administer programs on behalf of our partners. And then our partners also have access to certain elements of this workflow, depending on the program. All of John Doe's information is within this one profile. So you never have to save a folder for John and put his information in one place or his ID or his verification of his address. It is all saved within this application. And the last piece is, or the most important piece, is our communication center. So when communicating with John Doe, you can actually call John Doe from our platform. John Doe can call you and leave a voicemail. You can actually send an email to John Doe from the platform. So you don't have to go to your own personal email. The applicant's PII is actually protected here. You can see how it's anonymized. You can type the subject, type the body. You can even attach a document. John, please send us an example of your resume. I mean, the options here are endless, and it will actually record every single email and actually any email that John sends back to you. And when that email comes through, you'll actually get a notification that you have a new message. The same goes for text message. So you don't have to have a work phone to send a text to an applicant. You can actually send a text directly from our platform. So again, his phone number is anonymized. You put the text message, you attach the file, and it will keep a record of every single text that has been sent to this client. When this client texts you back, it will come in, as you see on the right-hand side here, text new. And so whatever attachment you may have asked for a copy again of their ID, they could take a picture of it with their phone and send it over to you. And all of that text communication is linked there. If there's any notes that are left about this client and how they move through the application, it'll say how long they've been there or since when. Hey, they've been in review schedule since September 19th. And all of that information is stored chronologically in the communication center. So there's no need to have a cell phone to text, a work email to email, or how to make phone calls. All of it is recorded. All of it is here, and it is just super seamless, both for our team to administer programs on behalf of our partners, and then also for our partners to be able to use the communication center to engage with their constituents. So this is just one feature that comes with our end-to-end program administration and how we can administer multiple programs at one time. We would love to show you more. That was just a very, very small piece of it. And I know we've shared a lot of information around Forward's multi-program solution. And really how we can simplify the application, how we can enhance data security, and how we can just improve program management across the board. Our team would love to chat with yours if any of this was of interest to you. Again, our real interest and our real passion is to make program administration easier for government teams. Government teams and agencies and nonprofits are working so hard to help their community, and they should have access to the technology and to the back-end support to make it possible to build confidence in their ability to deliver programs. And so if you want to schedule a strategy session, as Robert said, it's not a tech platform. We want to chat. We want to see what your challenge is. We want to see what your program is, and develop a customized solution to help meet that need. And so if you're interested, please contact us. You can scan that there to schedule a session. And before we close, I just wanted to thank Robert and Alex for joining us, taking time out of your busy day to just share how Forward has helped to improve your program administration. We love working with you all. Tamina, thank you for your time today and your commitment to working with the Milpitas team. And that is the end of it. If you all have any questions, please use our contact form to contact us with any other questions or any strategy sessions. And again, if you found this helpful, please feel free to share with your networks. We'll send out an email with a copy of the recording. Any other last words from our panelists? I don't want to take
Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great
All right.
day.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.